This is Jonathan Aghoff here for Pro Boxing Fans. Delighted to be joined by former world champion Lee Selby. Lee, you've got the fight announced with George Kambosos Jr. in a few weeks, October 31st. I'm guessing sort of during lockdown you weren't lacking too much motivation knowing that this big fight was going to happen.
I said during the lockdown, I had a friend come to my house, Gavin Gwynn, a former professional boxer and stablemate, gym mate. He come down to my house and built me a gym. So I've been able to keep busy during the lockdown. And we finally got the fight announced for the third time.
Yeah, it's third time of asking, but it's on now. And there's a lot on the line.
Third time lucky.
Yeah, there's a lot on the line in terms of this IBF Final eliminator for that world title.
Yeah.
How crucial is this fight? How motivated are you for this fight compared to any other?
To be honest, I'm motivated for all the fights, and I treat each fight the same. I train hard every session. I give 100% for every fight, so I'm treating it like no different. Of course, there's a big carrot dangling over the winner. If I win this fight, I'm in either a super fight with the winner of Lomachenko and Lopez, or I could possibly box for the vacant title. So there's a massive opportunity if I can come through this one.
How much have you been aware of George Kambosos, and how much do you watch sort of your upcoming opponents at all?
To be honest, I don't really watch opponents. I'll check them out just to see their style and whether they're a pressure fighter, boxer, southpaw, orthodox, that type of thing. But I don't like study them. And I wasn't aware of George Kambosos, and actually, a few years back, maybe 2 or 3 people from Australia have messaged me. Please, will you knock out this kid George Kambosos? He's the most hated fighter in Australia and all this stuff. But I'd never heard of him. And then in 2017, he was at the Wildcard gym sparring. I ended up doing a few rounds with him.
Okay.
But before that, I didn't know him. Yeah.
How much do you remember of that spar?
I can remember it a little bit. I can remember watching him spar before me. He did 4 rounds with another guy, and he looked very good. And then when I sparred with him, I did my first 4 with him, and it was just like normal sparring, to be honest. I can't remember it too well, so that's a good thing, because if I could, it would have been nice work, I think.
Before we get on to George in a second, because I spoke to him, I think, last week. How have you found your move up to lightweight since obviously moving from featherweight? You had that really good win over Ricky Burns last time out, which probably feels like ages ago. How have you found sort of the adjustment?
I feel a lot better in myself and during the training. Like looking back how I made featherweight, I couldn't even dream of doing it now for no fights, no matter how big it was, how much money. I couldn't even. It made me ill thinking about trying to make the weight. It's crazy how I done it, but making 909 it's a lot more comfortable. It's still not plain sailing. It's not like I can start eating cakes and stuff and build myself up to the weight. It's still hard work. It's still a struggle to get down to the weight, but a lot easier than making featherweight.
Because in terms of sort of the difference, there's obviously 9 pounds between the 2 weight classes. But I mean, I'm guessing from an outsider looking in, it's a lot harder than just 9 pounds. That's a lot of weight.
Well, for me to lose, I could lose a lot of weight in maybe a session, in a training session, maybe 5 or 6 pounds, but just of water weight. But 9 pounds of like body mass is quite a lot, and it makes a big difference. Yeah.
I spoke to George, as I said, a week or 2 ago, and he was very vocal in terms of what's going to happen from his perspective on October 31st. I just wanted to get your take on some of his comments. He basically said that there'll be no road for you after this fight, and that after this fight, he believes that he said it's up to you, but he believes you won't come back from this. What do you make of that comment?
First of all, just all you got to do is look at his last fight, and like, where'd you get that impression from? Look at his last fight. He's not like a killer, is he? He had a life and death with Mickey Bay, who was a 37-year-old man, or 36, or whatever it is. That's all I got to say for that comment. But if I was to lose, that's a big if. During these circumstances, who knows who's going to box again? And that's for any fighter. If you lose a fight during these strange times, there's not knowing when you're going to be back up fighting. So we're lucky to be fighting, to be honest.
Mm. He also
said a lot of boxing careers will be over due to this pandemic. Especially like the journeymen and like the fighters on the small hall shows, because they're finished for a while in small hall shows. And like on the big TV shows, they only won live fights. They won like sort of 50-50 matchups.
He also said that he believes that this fight ends by knockout for him. He's supremely confident of stopping you on October 31st. How do you see the fight playing out from your end?
Him rushing in and making silly mistakes and me picking him off, outboxing him.
Do you think you stop him?
I don't know. A win's a win. By any means possible.
As you mentioned, that sort of carrot dangling of the winner of this fight going on to Lomachenko or Lopez. How much are you thinking about that fight? I'm sure you'll be an interested spectator on Saturday night.
Yeah, I'll watch it, but not like thinking, I'm going to fight the winner. I'm just got to get through this fight first. But I will be watching with interest. It's a great fight. I think any boxing fan will be watching it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, can you pick a winner?
When the fight was first announced, I thought Lopez could possibly cause an upset by stoppage, but the closer the fight's getting, the more I'm swinging back to Lomachenko. Do
you think if you beat George Kambosos, then the winner will be your next fight? How do you sort of see the whole situation panning out? I mean, there's been talk of potentially both of them vacating, or the winner vacating. How do you see sort of the scenario playing out? Because you're of course #1 by the WBO as well.
I see it for myself a win-win scenario. So if the champion decides to stay as champion, I could be in a massive fight, a super fight. And if the champion decides to vacate, I could possibly box for a vacant title against the next contender, which would be a lot easier to win, not as high a profile, but a more chance of securing that second world title.
I'm guessing as a fighter though, you'd want to face Lomachenko or Lopez in that super fight and go down in history.
Well, as a fighter, I'd like to just box a champion to take the title. That's how I've done my whole career. I don't think I've boxed. I've never boxed for a vacant title. Oh yeah, sorry, the European title. I boxed for a vacant title. So like when I won the Welsh title, it was a champion, Celtic, and the Celtic was vacant. But the Welsh, there was a champion. Celtic was vacant. British and Commonwealth, there was a champion. European was vacant. I boxed with 2 WBC international champions. I beat both of them for 2 separate belts. And the IBF Intercontinental was vacant as well. So I boxed for 3 vacant titles, sorry. And the other 7, no, the other 6 belts were all champions or holders. So I'd like to fight a champion. You've earned the belt then.
Would you prefer Lomachenko or Lopez if given the choice?
Probably Lomachenko.
Why is that?
It's just more credit. But then saying that, if Lopez wins the fight, he got all the credit, didn't he? He got the juice.
Also, I mean, obviously looking a bit further ahead, but the chance to become, I believe, Wales' first 2-weight world champion.
Yeah.
As a proud Welshman, how much would that mean to you? And how much extra motivation is that?
That'd be massive. Like that's something money can't buy. To be a 2-weight world champion, you're writing your name in the history books, the boxing history books, the sporting history books, and I'll be remembered in Wales for forever.
Maybe at the Millennium Stadium.
You can't put a price on that type of thing, you know, on that tag.
Maybe at Millennium or Principality. Yeah.
Wow. That's if there's fans allowed by then.
Yeah, it's very true. You mentioned all those belts you've collected and you've had a
Yeah.
stint as IBF featherweight world champion. You fought Ricky Burns. You've got the experience
Yeah.
on your side. George doesn't believe that will be a factor in this fight. Do you believe that might be a factor going into this? Your experience?
Experience in any fight's a factor. Experience in life, in anything you're doing, is a massive factor. Of course it is.
Just sort of finally on this fight, as we know, a win puts you in line for that shot. Do you have sort of a message or to George and also the fans that are going to be tuning in on October 31st on Sky Box Office?
Yeah, I got a message for the fans. Just tune in. I'll try and box to the best of my ability, and I always give 100%, and that's what you'll see on Halloween, Fright night.
That's it.
Yeah.
And what's your opinion, lastly, on sort of the lightweight division on Garcia and Campbell?
That's a good fight. It's a difficult one for me to call. A few years back, I would have gone with Campbell, but Garcia, he looks like the real deal. He's very fast. He can box. He can punch. But again, experience lies in Campbell's favour. So I call it a 50-50. I couldn't pick a winner. Whoever won wouldn't surprise me. Of course, I'd like to see Campbell win, but I wouldn't be surprised if Garcia won.
Yeah, so many great lightweight fights.
It's a true 50-50. That one. It's a good mix of styles as well.
And as you mentioned, just lastly, on your stablemate Gavin Gwynn, how's he doing? Obviously, I spoke to him before the James Tennyson fight. How's he doing since that?
He's doing good. He's back in the gym. He's back working. He's back on the construction site as well, which he don't fancy. He don't enjoy that too much. But he's back in the gym. And he's back working hard.
Brilliant. Well, Lee, best of luck with the last few weeks of camp. Well, it'll be one more week, and then I guess you enter the matchroom bubble. What sort of, as a fighter, the plan for sort of the last week? Is it just tapering down, getting
getting down to the weights and try and rest as much as possible. That's it. Yeah.
Well, best of luck, and
thank you.
After the fight.
Yeah, thank you. Nice one. Thank you.
Cheers, Lee.